These are the Lumia 735 and the Lumia 830, and I wanted to put them head to head to see which is the better buy when it comes to your mid-range Lumia handsets. And I have to say they're very competitive in regards to what they have to offer in comparison to some other devices as well as other platforms. But which one represents the best value for money and gives you the best features, we can find out in this video. So straight off the bat, I'd say that it feels like a bit of deja vu in regards to my video which I did a comparison between the Moto X 2013 and the Moto G 2014, in that the smaller device we have here has a more ergonomic feel about it. It's also coming with a Super AMOLED display compared to your IPS LCD display. And it boasts a unibody design which is very comfortable. It feels a bit rounded off, and it doesn't feel cheap as well and nasty. It would have been nice if they made this beaker a little bit bigger, but very pleasant design indeed, which it just makes it feel more expensive than it should be. On the other hand, your 830 is rocking a 5-inch display, which means that the device gives you a little bit more to chug around in your pocket, but it's well worth it because it means you get more content on the device. And it has a back plate which is removable, which I've had some issues with my back plate on my 830. Every time I remove it and then put it back on again, for some reason one side seems to pop up, and it's like a game of trying to pop them down again. So I don't know if it's just my device or if this is a common issue with 830s, but it can be a bit of a chore getting the back plate back on. But other than that, really like the design of the 830. It's got like a kind of metallic rim around it, which gives it an air of premium. And you obviously get quite a bigger speaker on the back as well, which can output the sound a bit better, as well as a dedicated shutter button which you don't get on the 735. And it just feels like a really lovely device in the hand, but it is a little bit more sharper than the 735, which feels more rounded off, and because it's smaller, much easier to use one-handed. So I'd give the ergonomics to the 735, but the premium goes to the 830, which certainly will turn heads when you're using this. And other than that, as I said, they both have different screen technologies, with the 735 coming in with a Super AMOLED display, which is 312 ppi, and that's covered with Gorilla Glass 3, versus your LCD panel on the 830 at 294 ppi. So it's a very slight less ppi on the 830, but these are considered, I think, Retina displays. So at the end of the day, differences are very minimal when it comes to the sharpness of the icons, etc. But where there are massive differences come from the actual display technologies themselves, with the Super AMOLED being very punchy and giving you those very deep black colours that we all know and love. Not sure how well it comes across on the camera, but basically you can see that the blacks on the 830 look a bit greyish when you get to some extreme angles, whereas they're dark as the night on the 735. And also the viewing angles, when you tilt the 830 to the side, they kind of degrade a bit more versus the 735, which hold their colour in whatever angle you happen to be. I'm very surprised at the quality of the 735 screen. I think that it's a fantastic display, which I would have much loved to have had this display into the 830 if I was to be honest. Not saying that the 830 has a bad display, it's just I do prefer the 735's display overall. But obviously you do get a little bit more screen real estate with the 830, so when you're doing your browsing, probably not the best website this to show you, but you can still see basically that you can get much more content on the 830 when you're doing your web browsing, as well as using the maps, etc. So you do get a benefit from having that extra kind of screen real estate. The bezels are about the same as well in terms of how close they are to the edge, so not many differences there. But I definitely give it to the 735 when it comes to the screen. You can actually calibrate both of the screens though to make them, you know, what you want them to be. So if you want them to be a little bit more punchy, for example on the 830 you can adjust the color profile, and you can see I've got it on very vivid, so I could put it down to boring basically. Boring is better if you want realistic colours for your video and photos, but I am trying to make it as AMOLED as possible, as you can see. And you can do the same thing on the 735, which you can go into the settings and then display, and you can see I've got it on vivid again. So you can turn that down to cool or standard, and then you can have like an IPS type of experience. But I do like my colourful colours, so I'm going to keep it on vivid. One thing to mention is that the 735 unfortunately doesn't support glance, so as you can see when I've got the screen off, you can see my clock coming up, and you get all sorts of nice stuff coming up, such as your alerts, weather information, etc. Don't get any of that on the 735. However, it does support the double tap, as you can see, which seems to be a little bit more temperamental on the 735 than the 830 for some reason, but maybe a software update will sort that out. I've also noticed that both of them are actually running denim, which I didn't actually notice that before. I'll just go to settings, and then it is under extras and info. So because they are running denim, you should be able to get the benefits of denim on there, such as your folders, etc., as well as benefit from a better camera. You won't be able to do 4K unfortunately, because of the processor being Snapdragon 400, and you won't be able to do Hey Cortana, which is like a always listening thing where you can wake it up without even touching the device, kind of like your Moto X touchless control. But it does you know, give you the ability to do folders. For example, if I wanted to move this into there, you got a nice little folder there which you can name. So they're both running the latest software, which is quite cool. But let's get rid of that. But in terms of the actual specs, you should be aware of them. They are both running a Snapdragon 400, clocked at 1.2 gigahertz. A little bit dated if you ask me. You know, it would have been nice if they'd banged in a Snapdragon 600 and 800 or something, but I don't think Qualcomm does those processors anymore, and that's probably part of the problem. I think Qualcomm needs a good set of mid-range processors which can really push things forward. But I'd have even been happy with the 410 in there, because I've seen some gains when it comes to the HTC Desire 510. So a bit disappointing for both of them in regards to the raw specifications. They're backed up with 1 gig of RAM. I've not noticed too many significant slowdowns though, if I'm to be honest, using them day to day. They both seem to be very fluid. You do get some stutter now and again when you're going back and forth into things. You'll notice that it's not like as buttery as you'd get on the 930 or your 1520. But in general, it is a very smooth and funky experience. I've not really noticed too many differences between these two particular devices, if I'm to be honest. So whichever one you get, you're going to get pretty much the same performance really, even though the 830 does have a bigger display to push. So it's not really worthwhile going too much into the performance on both of them. But where they do differ is in terms of the actual camera, where basically you have a Carl Zeiss branded camera on the 735, which is I think it's 6 point something or other, quite a weird size, 6.7 megapixel. And that's a 1 by 3.4 sensor size. It's capable of doing full 1080p at 30 frames per second, and it's backed up actually with a 5 megapixel front facing camera for your selfies, which is quite weird, having a front facing camera which is nearly as much as the back one. But on the 830 you've got a more conventional 10 megapixel pure view camera, which is same type of sensor size, which forget what it is now. It's it's 1.3.4, 1 by 3.4 in terms of the sensor size, and it does full 1080p at 30 frames per second, and gives you the optical image stabilization, as well as Dolby recording as well, which you don't get on the 735. So if you're big into doing your videos, then you're going to get better sound quality off the 830. However, it does have a pretty crappy 0.9 megapixel front facing camera, which only does 720p compared to the 735. So you know, some differences there in terms of the cameras, but I have to say, after doing a quick test of them out and about in good conditions, I have been very impressed with the performance of the 735 against its bigger brother. You know, I'm very happy with the performance on the 830 in general. It gives you really nice pictures with a high level of bokeh, and can easily compete with the best of Android. But the 735 is not far behind, you know, even though it's cheaper and it's got less megapixels to push. I did both of them with both auto at the full setting, and it's hard to tell much of a difference between them, which is kudos to the 735. I did notice that they both seem to do low light as well quite well. With I think probably the 830 is a little bit better in that aspect, but in terms of the video recording, I think the 830 has slightly better audio quality. But the 735 definitely felt faster when it came to the focusing. So we're doing a quick Lumia shootout here between the Lumia 735 and the 830, both of which are capable of full HD at 30 frames per second, so should be quite decent. And I have to say, on the screens it looks a bit more vibrant on the 735. If that translates across to the PC, then I'll be very surprised. It is a more budget model. You can check out the focusing, see how that is. Both seem to focus quite well here. Look like the 735 did that a bit quicker, which is quite weird. Try that again. I accidentally stopped filming on the 735, so we can resume from here. So trying another focus. Both seem to be quite quick there. Again, 735. Wow. So looks like you're going to get a bit faster focusing when it comes to your 735. But let's see if the quality on the 830 can make up for that. So there might be a software issue, but I doubt it because both of them are running Denim. So it's quite surprising again that the 735 can keep up with the 830 when it comes to the video recording and even surpass it. But you know, either way, I think you're going to be happy with the performance of the camera on both devices. They both come with a full featured suite. Your Nokia camera, as it's called. Not sure why it's called Nokia camera anymore. Maybe they should rename it to Microsoft camera, because these devices are considered to be Microsoft. Oh, in fact, actually on the 735 it is called Lumia camera, but for some reason on the 830 it's called Nokia camera. Really trying to confuse me here. But I think you'll find that basically the settings are pretty much the same in both of them. Both have, you know, a fantastic feature set when it comes to giving you options to really control your pictures, etc. You know, you can control the white balance, the ISO, focus, etc. You also get the ability to download other lenses as well for even advanced photography. They go far beyond what you'd get on an Android platform at a similar price. So you know, in general I'd say the 830 is a bit stronger in some areas when it comes to the camera, but the 735 is also amazing in other areas. And I've not really done many selfie shots, if I'm to be honest, but I imagine that the 735 is going to kill the 830 when it comes to that. But other than that, you know, the software experience is quite similar across the board. You get quite a nice suite of apps from Microsoft, such as Here Drive and Here Maps, etc. As well as apps that you can download from the Microsoft Store, which some people criticise for being a bit lacking, but personally I find everything that I need, such even things which are a bit more kind of enthusiast, such as, you know, your torrenting apps as well as your Chromecast apps. It's certainly a growing platform, which I read that had quite a load of activations over Christmas, more than ever apparently. So it's definitely a growing platform, and it's about the same on both of them, not too many differences really. Again, the battery life is the same on both of them, 2200 mAh. However, there's a significant advantage with the 830 that you can remove it, so you can swap out a new one and put it in. Great for when the device is 2 years old and you're only getting like half your battery life, or if you're out and about you need 3 batteries to spare. Don't get that on the unibody design of the 735. So You also get 16 gigs internal storage backed up with 128 gigs micro SD versus 8 gigs internal and 128 gigs micro SD, but it should be sufficient for most people. There is a question mark of the little speaker on the back of the 735, but we can see how well it does against the 830 with a little speaker test. I'm not expecting too much, to be honest. Wow, it does even better than the 830. Amazing. Well, colour me impressed. I'm very impressed with the 735 in terms of its overall performance to price ratio. Yes, there are some things which are missing, such as glance and your Dolby sound recording, but it has certain aspects which appeal to me personally, such as the Super AMOLED display, as well as it coming in a very nice ergonomic package. If you're a power user, I'd still recommend that you pay a little bit more for the 830. You are getting a removable battery, more internal storage, a bigger screen, and better recording in terms of the sound. And if you're going to nitpick, maybe the camera is slightly better, but I can't notice it. You do also get glance as well, which is very useful. But the 735 has certainly proven itself, and I'm going to nickname it the little Windows phone that could. But yes, you know, we're going to end it up about here, so I hope you enjoyed the comparison, and I will see you very shortly. Cheers.